Well, hello and welcome to Newsround, the programme that keeps you up to date with the news and views around the aerospace and defence industry in the emerging markets of Africa, Arabia and South Asia. I'm Alan Peaford. This week we'll be talking about that interview. No, not that interview, but the one where the Emirates chief opens up about his frustration with Boeing. We're also going to be taking a look at the battle-proven helicopter that's found a new role in fighting fires in southern Africa. And we're also going to hear from the Director General of the Zambian Civil Aviation Authority about his country's aerospace progress and its plans for the new national carrier. Now we're also going to take a quick look at the latest business jet to take to the skies, but also, of course, the news headlines from across all of our regions. So join us after this short message from our sponsors.
Welcome back. And here are the news headlines across Africa, South Asia and the Middle East. The Indian government is set to invite bids for the sale of Air India by the end of March. Shortlisted entities for the airline may be given time until early July for financial bids. The government has been trying to offload the loss-making carrier for some time, but has rejected a buyout offer from the airline's staff. A South Sudan Supreme Airlines let L-410, performing a charter flight from Pereri to Uain, crashed after takeoff, killing 8 passengers and 2 crew. According to local reports by the Aviation Herald, the aircraft had a fake registration from Colombia. Cargo operations are growing in Africa and the Middle East. Water cannon welcomes were given to the DHL as its new 767-300 for Bahrain operations arrived at Muharraq. Meanwhile, Kenyan cargo airline Astral Aviation has opened links between Africa and the Gulf with new operations at Sharjah, and its new 767 was celebrated at the UAE airport. Milipol Qatar, the international event for homeland security and civil defence, kicked off at the Doha Exhibition and Convention Centre on Monday, with 143 local and international exhibiting companies represented. The show was opened by Qatar's Emir Sheikh Tamim bin Hamad Al Thani. MRO activities in the Gulf have been given a boost thanks to a new partnership between Bahrain's MENA Aerospace Airports and parts specialist AJW Group. The new partnership will be offering enhanced support with access to a global inventory of more than 450,000 line items through MENA's technical support at Bahrain's airport. Airline executives from Dana Air and the state-owned Amcon have been called in for questioning by the Nigerian police in connection with an investigation into fraud, conversion and embezzlement relating to an aircraft of the now defunct Afrijet Airlines, reports Nigeria's New Telegraph. Also in Nigeria, regional carrier Azman Air has been ordered to suspend Boeing 737 operations in order to undergo a safety audit. The NCAA says the measure, which took effect from Monday, affects all 737s across the airline's fleet. It follows a series of incidents. The airline uses older variants, including the 737-300 and -500. Aviation data firm OAG reported that airlines are scheduled to fly close to 1.2 million passengers between India and the UAE this month. This allows the pair to once again be ranked as the second largest market in the world. Edge, the UAE's advanced technology group for defence, has agreed an MOU with Israel Aerospace Industries to develop an advanced counter-unmanned aircraft system tailored to the UAE market. And in business aviation this week, Vertis Aviation is expanding its footprint in Africa with the addition of a Bombardier Challenger 604 to its chartered managed fleet. Based in Accra, Ghana, the jet seats up to 11 passengers and also welcomes small pets when in a travel carrier. And finally, if you're into bigger pets, then good news from Tanzania safari air transfer specialist Grumeti Air, which is due to launch scheduled cross-border flights between the Serengeti and Rwanda capital, Kigali, giving greater tourism opportunities for animal lovers. The flights start in June. It's back to you, Alan.
Thanks, Ella. Well, there's no question that Boeing has had a pretty torrid time over the past 2 years with the disaster of the 737 MAX, the delays on the 777X, and of course issues with the 787 Dreamliner. But this week, one of the company's biggest and most influential customers, Emirates, went public about its concerns. Aviation intelligence site Air Current had an exclusive interview with Sir Tim Clark, the long-term president of Emirates, who spilled all to legendary journalist Jon Ostower, who over the years has been capturing headlines with Flight Global, the Wall Street Journal, before becoming the founder of Air Current. John's going to join us now from the West Coast USA. John, great to see you. Now, I know your scoop rattled Boeing and certainly kind of stunned Seattle. So tell us, what were Sir Tim's criticisms of the airframer?
Well, it's interesting. I think Sir Tim's thoughts on Boeing really comes down to the fact that he's worried about them. They are, one of two of his biggest suppliers and has worked with them since the 80s. His biggest concern really is about their strategy. And he's concerned that all of the problems that Boeing is now facing on the 787, the twin crashes and grounding of the 737 MAX, the delays in the 777X, he believes they stem ultimately from decisions the board of directors at the CEO level and the chairman level, going back decades, has made around its priorities at the company. And he is of the belief that has significantly transformed how Boeing has done business with its engineers, its workforce more broadly, its suppliers, and its customers. And that's had a direct impact on the quality of its product. He is concerned that the airplanes that he will be getting for Emirates will not be able to either be delivered on time and on spec as they are handed over. So, there is really a kind of an existential worry that he has about Boeing's future, but ultimately he believes this is solvable.
John, we both know that CEOs will often share their concerns privately, but it's very rare for one to go on the record as he did with you. Do you think that's just because he's so frustrated with it? Is he just going to accept these aeroplanes even if they've got the same problems that he's had in the past?
Yeah, well, he actually drew the line in the sand during the interview. He said, I will not accept these airplanes. Those days are over. If it doesn't do what it says on the tin, I'm not interested. If it doesn't dispatch at 99.7% reliability, if it doesn't fly where we want it to fly, Boeing has an opportunity. He says, with an additional 3.5-4 years of delays on the 777X, to deliver him a product that is ready and mature at day one. And he doesn't want engine improvement packages after engine improvement packages. This is a guy who needs a healthy Boeing and Airbus to run his business. And the competition between them needs to be a healthy one.
And to be fair on Boeing, it's not just the airframe, is it? It's the power plants, the avionics, it's all the other bits that make up the whole business. Is this a call out to the supply chain as well?
Well, absolutely. I mean, I think this is I think what he is looking at is an ecosystem that has not served him well. As a major buyer here, right? Look, there are criticisms that were levied here that were not new, that have been thrown at Boeing by its critics over the years. One thing he really emphasized was how little communication there has been, given everything that's gone on between Chicago, Boeing's corporate headquarters, and Seattle, their commercial headquarters, and everything going on in Dubai.
Now, although Emirates don't fly the 737 MAX themselves, I know Sir Tim in the past has been critical of communication on the MAX issue. Emirates partner Fly Dubai is preparing to return MAX to service, but they have plans for 251 in their fleet. Did Sir Tim have anything to say about that?
Well, yeah, I don't think he's necessarily reflected on whether or not he's happy or not it's coming back. I think he's glad that Fly Dubai has the ability to begin thinking about their future path. Ultimately, what he reflected on was that Boeing is going to be spending a lot more time, and more time than he thought that they were being ultimately reflecting on, given the amount of time it's going to take to get all of the airplanes out of storage, the ramp up back going again for all these stored MAXs. But as you note, Fly Dubai is really the second largest customer for the MAX, or tied for a second. So you have a UAE and an Emirate of Dubai that has incredible sway over what happens at Boeing, given the size of the MAX backlog and the 777X.
So don't forget, you can read that whole interview on aircurrent.com. Well, Boeing may be firefighting metaphorically, but in South Africa, they're doing it for real. The country has once again found itself facing severe wildfires at the end of a hot, dry summer, But as our Southern Africa special correspondent Guy Leach reports, a former military veteran has joined in the fight.
Wildfires are a growing problem for Africa. Last year, while much of the world's attention was focused on Brazil, fires spread across Central and Southern Africa. Here in South Africa, it became perilous. Already this year, we are feeling the impact of wildfires, with more than 33,000 acres of winelands having been damaged by fire. But one South African aviation company is responding to the fight with a firefighting tool that is literally battle-proven.
It was built, for the U.S. military. It's built, for the purpose to be a strong, durable machine. And as the Sikorsky say, it works well, lasts a long time. We've had no snags with the aircraft. We've operated now for 3 years, and it's been a wonderful experience, to fly this helicopter and see what it can actually do, especially with the firefighting.
Parked at the picturesque Stellenbosch airfield in the heart of the Cape Winelands, a white UH-60 Sikorsky Blackhawk helicopter stands ready to do battle against the bushfires that have ravaged the hills of the Western Cape during the dry summer season. Stripped of its military identity and registered in South Africa as a restricted utility helicopter, the Blackhawk adds to the fleet of Bell 205 helicopters operated by Leading Edge Aviation, a family-owned company based in the Lowveld of South Africa. Leading Edge Aviation is contracted to assist working on fire, the South African aerial firefighting organisation charged to help control seasonal bushfires in the southern winter in the timber plantations of the eastern Lowveld, and then to move right across the country for the dry summer Western Cape regions of South Africa. Following the introduction of the Blackhawk into the fleet of helicopters, operated by both Working on Fire and Leading Edge Aviation, a larger and more modern dimension of equipment has been added to boost the efficiency of aerial firefighting methods. Built in 1981, this particular aircraft still had remarkably low operational hours when in 2016 it was sold to Leading Edge Aviation as United States military surplus.
Basically, we started off with the Hueys, and then in 2016 we heard that they were going to be auctioning off Black Hawks, and the company that we dealt with when we bought the first two Hueys suggested that we should look at going into the Black Hawk market, again surplus ex-military aircraft that were going to be auctioned, because they felt that it would be a safer option than operating with the Hueys.
Right, and we're going to start the APU. So we've done APU boost, T-handles in, and clear for APU, Pete.
Clear on APU.
Okay, starting APU and on. Okay, so we'll see over here. Yeah.
The efficiency of helicopters and controlling bushfires is a function of rapidly deploying water into a fire. The Sikorsky Blackhawk, weighing in at 22,000 pounds, can in rapid succession deliver loads of 2.5 tons of water over fires burning on hard-to-reach mountain slopes, threatening livestock, agriculture, or residential properties. Being considerably larger than a single-engine Bell 205 Huey helicopter, the extra utility of the Blackhawk, however, comes with a substantial cost to operate. Under varied circumstances, it has both effective benefits and costs.
If you work out that you pay exactly twice what you would pay for a Huey, but you're getting 3 times the amount of water, is basically the model that we work on. So, for example, we can drop up to 3.8 tons of water, but we find that you're close to the all-up capability of the helicopter, which means you operate a little slower. And worldwide, most Blackhawk operators are now operating with a 2,500 litre bucket, essentially 2.5 tons of water, which means that you're never pulling maximum power, and you can deliver a lot more water sooner, because your rate of climb, the time coming out of the dam, can be as little as 20 seconds from overhead the dam to lifting again. And then we can establish a good rate of climb between 1,500 and 2,500 foot a minute. So your work rate is essentially very much better than what you would have with a smaller machine. When the Hawk does a drop you get a lot more soaking and a lot more what we call penetration. Whereas with a smaller load, you obviously don't get the same amount of penetration, or if you want that, you have to drop a whole lot slower. So the work rate of the Hawk is that much better, whereas the Hawk can go at 140 knots would be a typical cruise setting.
It certainly demonstrates how retired military equipment can really get a second life helping society. And as the great camera work in this film from our colleague Robin Rabeck demonstrates, it can also give us aviation geeks a real buzz. This is Guy Leach for TATV in the Western Cape.
Well, some amazing footage there from Robin and Guy. Well, we're going to stick with Africa right now and take a look at Zambia. We're joined remotely now by our correspondent, Keith Mwanalushi. Keith, great to see you. Now, I know you're a proud Zambian by birth, but over the years you must have been frustrated about the ban by the European Union, the lack of a national carrier, and I guess poor infrastructure.
Yes, frustrating indeed. The issues with the EU have now been resolved. They're building and improving airports, and now the new carrier is ready to fly.
Well, this is a JV with Ethiopian. How well is that going down there?
Well, I spoke with Gabriel Lessa, the Director General of Zambia's Civil Aviation Authority earlier, and asked him about the new airline. So the project has obviously been delayed over several years, and COVID has obviously escalated that delay. So where are we at now with the new Zambia Airways project?
First and foremost, the certification for the airline to give them the air operator certificate actually also took long, because we had to ensure that we guided the airline very properly in meeting the international standards. So it took about a year and some months, I think a year and almost close to 2 years. But it was good because at the time when we actually issued them with the certificate to start air operations, we were very satisfied that the airline was ready to start. Unfortunately for the airline and for the industry was that upon issuing them that, and then they applied for what are called FOPs, or foreign operator, air operator permits, from different countries, South Africa, Zimbabwe, and I believe Kenya and Tanzania. The time they were beginning to receive these permits from these other countries so that they could start, COVID also struck. So like you rightly said, COVID actually has also dealt a huge blow. Suffice to say that I think the airline is obviously looking at the best time to start so that they could actually offer the services they wish to offer. But I'm very persuaded that immediately COVID shows signs of going down, I think the airline may actually just announce when they might want to start. But the situation is that we've already given them the air operator certificate.
There have been concerns that the Ethiopian role would hold back international ambitions. The Director General was reassuring.
What I wanted to say is that the concerns, while they may actually make some sense that somebody can have such concerns, they are not legitimately based on fact. They're not grounded in fact, because as a regulator, we know that the plans of the airline is to start first domestic, grow up their passenger base together with the regional routes. And once the passenger base has grown to support their international, they have actually indicated they would want to start international routes.
And another concern that I've heard from the local professionals there is that there isn't the room to have, what is it now, 3 regional airlines? And will all three survive? And maybe why wasn't a partnership initiated with, for instance, one of the local established airlines like ProFlight Zambia, for instance?
Okay, in terms of partnership, I think I would leave that to the airline and the shareholders. But in terms of the market, yes, currently I would say the aviation industry currently as it is, it's quite small, but that does not mean it cannot grow. And what we do believe as an authority is that there are a number of passengers out there, potential passengers, who've been actually been crowded out by the costs or the cost of the air ticket. And this is primarily grounded in fact that we had actually an airline which started, that was FastJet. And when FastJet started, of course, there were such worries. But what actually in fact happened was that FastJet generated its own type of passengers. And it was always full going into Tanzania. Now, what was their strategy? Their strategy was just that they made it affordable. But I'm sure if the airlines actually start using innovation, creativity, and working on strategies of making flying cheaper in Zambia. For example, some could actually adopt the low-cost carriers strategy. I do believe, especially where the disposable income for most of the would-be passengers is quite low, the low-cost variant is going to, in my view, if it is done right, it should really work very well. But of course, like you've said, it could be a hybrid between a legacy carrier and the low-cost. But this is for the marketers and for the innovators within the airlines to determine. But I do believe a low-cost variant, seriously in Africa, it should have a lot of potential. And more so I'm speaking actually having in regard the fact that the country has joined the SATM, and now there's going the African Continental Free Trade Area. The benefits and the potential that will arise from there, I do believe we need to have players in the market who can actually jump and pick on those potentials.
Well, that sounds exciting, Keith. But do you actually think it will happen?
It's taken a long time, Alan, but there are possibly three advantages here: airport infrastructure, reputation of Ethiopian, and the brilliant work by the regulator.
Great, Keith. Thank you very much. Well, it's amazing how much more positive we are than we were a month or so ago. Well, nowhere more so than France, where manufacturer Dassault celebrated the first flight of its new flagship Falcon 6X business jet. That first flight demonstrates the maturity of the programme and opens up the way for the test campaign for certification. Dassault Aviation CEO Eric Trappier said the flight was dedicated to the achievement of Olivier Dassault, who died tragically just a few days before that special flight. Well, that's it for us, and we look forward to joining you again in 2 weeks' time. Goodbye.